morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Saturday, April 13th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with, speak of them. There they are. We've got the Fool energy. Honestly, this is like the best card that we've started this whole week on. I feel like we've been keep starting all of these cards, all of these readings this week with some real heavy hitter cards. So this is nice. We're in Aries season, guys. This is what we want to do. Taking those heavy things, lightening them, lifting the energetic burden. One of the things that we've been seeing throughout this week, a lot of energetic unpacking. A lot of the application, as it were, to help ground some of the intensity that the eclipse energy brought forth. We love to see this card right now because this is the sign of the energetic breakthroughs. Depending on where you are on the frequency cycles, it's going to have a little bit of a different impact. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency right now. One of the things that we're energetically observing and seeing is there's a lot of energetic unpacking that has been occurring at this time, assessing, reviewing, looking, even if there were some moments of triggering or discomfiture that may have happened during that eclipse process, being able to investigate, leaving no stone unturned in relation to what you're energetically feeling, letting that be a moment of being able to take something and utilize it in a productive fashion, is giving that moment of facing what is hard to energetically face. And a lot of that facing what is hard to energetically face is looking at something and asking oneself, is it something that you're energetically needing to work on? Is there something that needs repair outside of the self? Something that can be accommodated for? Something that can be worked through in the energy of the counterpart? Something that is mutual work to do? Or is this something that was occurring from within? Potentially even something that you brought with you into the divine union frequency, something that you've been energetically carrying for quite a long time. Because that work, that ability to ascertain what feels like an inner moment of discomfiture versus an external one, is making sure to not subject energy around you to what you are energetically feeling, but being able to utilize the emotionality as a point of impact, as a point of recognizing how to effectively manage and accommodate for energetic change. This ability, this approach, this ability of looking and saying, is this something I need to work on within me? Or is this something that I need to facilitate a change outside of the self? That is what is creating, talking about GPSs, that's what's creating that moment of feeling a negative and being able to turn it into an energetic positive. Because the ability to feel something in a bigger way, to be able to almost put your energetic finger on it, is now allowing for what feels like breakthroughs, new approaches, new plans, new ideas, new opportunities, right? That is that moment that we appreciate the Mercury retrograde cycle. Because what happens when we get knocked out of our own grooves? We get knocked out of our own grooves to help us recognize whether we're in a rut or not, right? We can't notice that we can't find efficiencies. We can't find breakthroughs unless something sometimes gets shaken up a little bit. So we see even now that ability to utilize and really allow that to be something that is triggering or allowing for some of those breakthroughs. That is that moment that feels like a success metric here, because that's not the moment of allowing oneself to become energetically reactive at a time that there's some kind of energetic intensification point. That is a time of being able to really take that energetically and put it forth in a way that feels like it is energetically serving you and helping guide and steer your direction moving forward. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. I told you, a lot of that energy coming into divine union right now. We saw that if there was anything that felt like you really kind of took some kind of energetic leap of faith during that eclipse cycle. And I will stress here, I told you guys, it's not the fact that you couldn't do something new during the eclipse cycle. It was making sure it's a difference about doing something new that you planned for than just doing something on the spur of the moment that you had that felt more spontaneous, like you hadn't given it any consideration prior to this point. Because for the energy that made that kind of like big, like, big breakthrough or milestone during that eclipse cycle. That moment, or that ability, if you will, to recognize and identify, like feeling some of that energetic heaviness coming into play. That's that moment that is almost the amplification of, again, whenever we move forward in some kind of energetic cycle, we're always energetically letting go, right? That is what we see in the relationality of change. Like, and even now we see, and that's what we appreciate about a lot of the energy moving into the heart of the divine union frequency right now. It's not the fact that this energy is taking that work lightly. In fact, yesterday was a good acknowledgement of the gravitas that a lot of that energy was experiencing as they move forward in this direction. What's important and significant about that energetic work, if you will, is the fact that the energy, having experienced that intensity, starting to feel the full weight of what that obligation is this energy that runs in the opposite direction when they start to feel that anxiety coming into play? No. We saw that was that moment. Even yesterday, we were describing it as like holding each other's hand as like you walk through a haunted house, because it's that moment, that ability to, instead of becoming reactive from a moment of anxiety or fear, but almost saying like, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, this is like a lot that we're doing. Like the ability to identify and articulate those energetic fears. It becomes the tie that binds. Because for masculine energy, we're seeing even now, masculine energy that has done this work, that has mastered the ability to be intimate with the feminine, not feeling a fear and running in the opposite of direction of feminine, or not projecting their anxiety and fear and saying, I'm afraid of you, I'm afraid of this, but looking within the self and saying, I'm going into a cycle of change. There's no way I can energetically go back. I have anxieties about my own ability to go forward in this way. If this is masculine energy that shows the ability to energetically unpack something without projecting it on the other, that's the feminine energy saying, I'm not. Why is the feminine energy saying, I'm not? Why? Because that's feminine energy that's almost looking towards masculine. The masculine saying, I worry I'm not brave enough. And that's feminine energy looking towards masculine and saying, you are the bravest person I've ever met. Why? Because that's feminine energy that sees a masculine that has the bravery to build an intimate connection enough with feminine, not to be reactive in the face of their fear, but to, again, hold tighter, hold even stronger to what they cling to, utilizing that moment of saying, and feminine energy to see a masculine. When feminine energy sees masculine energy that is challenged or afraid, even if that fear is internal, but stays by the side of the feminine, this is a feminine energy saying, you are the bravest person I have ever met. Because that is the feminine energy that realizes that masculine has conquered like the beast. And that beast is the beast within the masculine. That masculine has confronted their own abandonment wound and has learned how to conquer their own energetic fear. The biggest energetic fear being the fear of energetic or emotional intimacy. Masculine energy and feminine energy in separation. A lot of these breakthroughs are coming through right now, even if you're in energetic separation. For feminine energy, if these are moments or modalities wherein feminine energy has come out of some kind of energetic cycle and where they even thought that they needed to heal something, where they moved away from a masculine counterpart saying, I must have things that I need to heal within myself. But then feminine immediately feeling energetically balanced at the time of moving away from another energy. That is one of the hardest lessons for the feminine to realize and recognize. And that is the feminine healing their own abandonment wound. Because for the feminine energy, there would almost be a preference. There would be an infinite preference for the feminine to find something within the self that they could remediate, that they could work on. Because something within the self that you identify is something within the self that you can energetically fix. So for a feminine energy to come into a state or space where they're feeling energetically better, having moved away from someone energetically, that is almost like a profound moment of grief. Because that is the feminine energy articulating that what was problematic did not exist within the self. It's not something that can be modified within the self. It is something that had to be energetically accepted. We see even now that for a lot of feminine energy in separation, compounding that is now seeing masculine energy that's halfway through that healing journey. Potentially even now seeing masculine energy that's done half the work of being able to be emotionally like working through being authentic with the feminine, wanting to build from a place of clarity, honesty, feeling that sense of potentially the opportunity is there to potentially move in alignment in terms of path work. But if this is feminine energy that's seeing masculine coming towards feminine from a state of authenticity, but lacking intentionality, this is feminine energy that's almost stepping back right now. Why? Because this is feminine energy that's looking towards masculine and saying they don't seem to know what they want. They seem like they're halfway through a healing journey. They seem like they may be feeling confused and pulled in multiple directions in terms of where to go. And feminine even feeling the urge to say, I wonder if I just lean in a little bit, if I could help steer this. Maybe I can help them. That urge or that sense to say, it's like I'm feminine catching themselves. They're catching their own abandonment wound. They're going, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I'm about to do it again. And that for the feminine, having that ability to see, to feel that inclination, but catching yourself before you do so, even if it's coming from a place of care. That's the feminine energy healing the abandonment wound of feminine recognizing and understanding that compassion and care needs to be utilized with discernment in the energy, being able to recognize that there needs to be that ability, that's not something that the feminine energy can facilitate by pouring care and attention on it. That for masculine energy to find their own path and purpose, that is a journey that the masculine must go on alone. That is an internal journey. And for the feminine energy, recognizing that, that's why we see even now it's energetically difficult. The feminine energy wants to go in and help the masculine in that way. And the feminine energy almost effectively feels like they have to pull back a little bit. Because this is the feminine energy saying, if I go in now at a moment that they're energetically confused, it's not like I'm going to build that path and purpose by helping them in that moment. I'm almost going to arrest them in their own healing process. I might facilitate the fact that they may never find that purpose, or worse, that they may resent me for coming in and not allowing them that ability to move towards me with a sense of intentionality. So even now we see that for a lot of the feminine energy in that modality right now, it's like a sad but true moment, because it's a moment of the feminine looking towards something and saying, I want to deeply. I see the possibility and potentiality here, but I have to accept the situation for what it is. I have to wait and see if that masculine energy can find their own path and purpose, and whether that path and purpose energetically leads to me. And for the feminine energy, recognizing and experiencing that, that's why we see even now that the feminine energy may be stepping back a little from a masculine, potentially even articulating to the masculine and saying, you seem like you're a little energetically confused as to what your path and purpose is, right? Or even potentially moving them into the realm of friendship, because for a feminine energy to experience a masculine that is authentic, but authentically confused, that's almost, again, a feminine saying, I'm sure that we could be very, very good friends, right? Masculine energy in separation, you may be going through a moment where you're healing an abandonment wound, and a big one. Because for masculine energy, if there's a moment where you're moving away from circumstances or situations, the desire and aspiration to build forth with feminine from a state of honesty and openness and clarity, potentially even taking accountability for past experiences wherein you recognize and realize that when you build a wall of illusion around the feminine, the only person that you build a wall of illusion around is yourself. That desire, that hope, that aspiration to be in a place of authenticity with feminine. You may be building very, very authentic connections with feminine at this time, but that moment of seeing the energetic shift, seeing what opens up or happens when you truly are honest to a feminine, seeing the depths of a well that you may not have necessarily experienced before. This could be a moment that, depending on how you're experiencing it, feels either like an energetic breakthrough point, or it can feel like a little bit of an energetic crisis. Because we're seeing even now, like, that ability to recognize that is requiring that energetic leap of faith. Because that moment of determining, even now through this eclipse cycle, potentially really harnessing and focusing on what that intentionality is, what that path of purpose is, where your heart is guiding you, but suddenly feeling that anxiety point and being able to bring it forth to the feminine. That's that moment that, again, if you're not, and the thing is, you're not blaming the feminine. You're not saying that the feminine's creating the anxiety in you right now, because this could be a lot of the masculine doing this in separation, being like, why am I feeling anxiety for someone that's not even energetically here? Even the thought of doing it is creating anxiety. That's a masculine saying, it's not them. It's not them. That's something in me. That's me catching something that rises up, even at the thought of being intimate and open and honest with the feminine. And this is the masculine that's learning the ability right now in separation, the value and importance of taking that leap of faith, being able to have the confidence, being able to have that sense of like throwing oneself energetically off a cliff, because that's what we do when we reveal our dreams to another. You know, we throw them out there and we hope someone will be there to catch them, because there's always that anxiety and fear that someone might not energetically share that dream. But we see here, that's that moment for a lot of the masculine energy saying, if I don't know, if I don't do it, I'll never know. If I don't do it, I'll never know. If I don't take that leap of faith, I'll never know. So we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy in that modality, being able to energetically take that leap of faith, if you will, is like what we see. It's like that moment of like gearing oneself up to like leap forward in that way. Like a lot of the masculine energy here, this is that feeling, that heaviness, like was like that moment of energetic fortification, because you're like, you know, like that's that moment of like, you know, building the energetic wherewithal. It takes a lot of heaviness to do something very light, right? It's like, it takes a lot of that work to like rip the Band-Aid off of something. It takes a lot of that, like, you know, that's the difference between doing something that feels like you're not putting care and consideration into it, just moving spontaneously, versus taking a leap of faith that feels like, you know, feels like that careless plunge, but one that was very intentional. Second card in our 5-card spread today is, we have here, look at these cards today. This is beautiful energy. We've got here the Sun card, because that's that moment. This is the idea of energetically sharing a dream. How do you know if you don't find out? How will you, you know, what do you know? Like if you don't allow yourself that ability to take that energetic leap of faith, if you will. And this is what we want to see. Because remember, one of the things that we articulated upon about being able to share a dream, and this is what we see that's happening a lot for a lot of the masculine in separation, that observational point, if you will, in terms of recognizing and identifying that the way that we move forward on a path of purpose is by surrendering the energetic outcome, right? That is where this is how we find our path of purpose. A path of purpose is guided not in terms of what you will receive on the other side of it. A path of purpose is one that you feel a sense of joy simply in the movement in the direction. And so we see even now, like for the masculine energy and separation, to figure out what that heart's desire is, and then to build the energetic confidence to move towards it, is an act of being able to energetically surrender the outcome, right? Much like a good manifestation goal, saying to oneself, I would move in this direction anyway. Regardless of why, I would move in this direction anyway, because I know that that is the direction wherein my joy lies. So we see even now, for the masculine energy proceeding forward in this way, this is finding that sense of internal path and purpose, if you will, that is amplified in that sense of identifying and recognizing what direction your heart wants to lead you, and being able to journey forth in that way, not saying I'm not going to be happy until I get there, but saying moving in that direction is my joy. That is, I'm doing this for my own sense of self, as well as for what it is that I aspire and desire for. Feminine energy in separation right now if there's a modality here wherein you have been going through some path work, wherein you yourself are working through situations and circumstances wherein you feel and you see, you're recognizing and understanding that you've reached some point of energetic balance while in separation. That's potentially, even now, the retrograde may be bringing some stuff up back to from the past. But the bigger question you're asking yourself is, does it show any objective change, right? If something from the past was creating a sense of unhealing in you, and now it's rising back up, but you're not seeing any energetic change in it, well, rest assured, it doesn't mean that, like, just because that there's a desire there, it doesn't mean that something is energetically fixed in a way that it would lead to a different energetic outcome. So we see even now that for a lot of the feminine energy in that modality, that is that moment that feels like that sense that even though you're still not certain what's on the other down the road, you know you're moving in the right energetic direction because you know that the healing is that way. While for feminine, if there's a moment even now where you're seeing masculine that you're encountering that feels like they're halfway on their healing journey, they've done half the work, they've been able to come into a state or space of being open and honest, but they still seem to lack the direction, right? They're kind of like wandering, like, right? They're being honest about the fact that they're wandering. This is the feminine energy that's saying, like, keep up the good work, but they're continuing forward on their way because this is feminine energy that says, I know what the direction I'm going in is. I know what my manifestation goal is. The feminine energy is almost like, I will share that road with you so long as you know what direction you're headed in. But this is the feminine energy that basically is having a bit more of that open palm approach, if you will, saying in a certain way, my ability to find the right counterpart is not one that I should have to give them or feed them my manifestation goal in order to have them follow, right? This is the feminine energy saying they need to be moving in the same direction. And the feminine's like, I'll keep moving in this direction that I'm intending to go on, confident that when I do so, I'm going to find the energy. I'm already seeing signs of this, that this energy is starting to heal. I'm going to find the energy that has the combination of authenticity as well as being able to have the amount of emotional fortitude it requires to be able to share their dream with me, wherein we can build that going forward. Masculine and feminine energy that's in the divine union, coming into the divine union frequency, this is why the energy is together. This is why the energy is together. I mean, there's other aspects to it, but the main focus of the divine union frequency is energy that says to themselves, we are building together. That is what partnership is. It's not just saying, I have someone, that one's mine. It's saying, we grow together, we move together, we build together. That is that sense of energy. And that's that moment that, again, it requires that sense. Even now, a lot of this energy having like taken some kind of big leap of, like, this is the energy that like took a leap of faith, like during the eclipse process, potentially a lot of energy moving deeper into some kind of energetic connection during the eclipse process, feeling a little bit of that weight, like, oh boy. But then this is the real energetic commitment. Because this is the moment of, like, that is where real commitment lies. It's not in the show or display of saying to someone like, oh, look, we did that. It's feeling the true gravitas of what something really is like going to take and saying, here we go. Like, now we're doing the hard part and we're taking, like, we don't know what's on that horizon point. Like, that is that energy that is still reaffirming their own sense, but they're not doing it with the sense of anxiety. It's not that the fact that there isn't fear there. It's that the excitement, the amplification of joy outweighs the feeling of energetic fear on that journey. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is that moment, this is the result, this is the healing, this is the positivity of having done a lot of that heavy energetic work over the last few days and weeks in relationality to seeing how far you've come while in the heart of the divine union frequency, and also observing what you feel you need to adapt and change and grow as you continue forward from this point. We're recognizing and identifying. It's not that everything is perfect in the heart of the divine union frequency. It's more that sense of recognizing and identifying what can be changed and adjusted and adapted outside the self to make something or to facilitate a point of easement or comfort, versus what feels like it needs to be changed and adapted within the self. So a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency is done a lot of that work in navigating and coming through in terms of recognizing what that energetic plan looks like, what those steps forward are. Taking that energetic heaviness and being able to apply it in a very practical way is what is setting the energetic path, if you will, for a lot of this energy as they proceed forward from this way. And it is allowing for breakthroughs. It's allowing for new possibilities. It's allowing for possibility and positivity to come into spaces and states, but all for the sense of being able to take that energetic heaviness and turn it into a positive. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, not surprised to see him. I'm not surprised to see him. I was waiting for this, and I knew. King of Swords here. So masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. The thing that we appreciate right now is, again, this is the energetic support that the energy is providing to one another. Now, we saw yesterday, we had a lot of cups energy coming in yesterday. We had the king and the queen of cups coming through in relationality to what we were seeing and describing. So that was saying that a lot of energetic honesty coming into play right now in relationality to what one is energetically experiencing and how one feels like one needs to energetically move. For masculine and feminine energy, that moment of being emotionally, energetically open, but again, most importantly, not subjecting one another to one's emotions, but rather utilizing what one was energetically feeling to really understand and set the pathwork going forward. That is that moment that we are recognizing and identifying feels like a point of allowing for energetic breakthroughs, right? And for the feminine, we are seeing specifically a lot of that is coming up with new possibilities, new opportunities, new energetic breakthroughs, if you will. And that is being energetically seen and supported by masculine energy. Feminine energy, again, feeling the confidence to take some of those energetic leaps of faith, to try new things with the energy of the counterpart masculine that's giving them that sense of saying, like, energetically, you have my energetic support. I'm here to energetically support you in that fashion. That is that sense that we see here. That is the amplification point. For masculine, the ability to recognize and see feminine moving with that sense of energetic resilience, right? Almost again, both of these energies, it's just a little bit more difficult sometimes. I told you, the feminine energy can be a little bit more reluctant and resistant to come into changing a pathwork like this. Masculine energy, seeing feminine, being able to be that adaptable, being able to be, again, always focusing on that positive. That's the masculine, again, feeling the strength and security of the feminine energy, because what is the feminine energy giving the masculine that's helping restore the masculine's own confidence? Because we saw even yesterday, if this was masculine energy that was having a moment of articulating to feminine their doubts and fears, and feminine was saying to masculine, you are potentially the bravest person that I've seen, because your ability to communicate your doubts and your fears is your bravery. That shows the fact that you are energetically resilient because you've done the work within the self that allows you to become your highest version of self. That is a masculine energy that is feeling the impact of the confidence that the feminine is providing them, because that is a masculine that feels like, again, a feminine that helps the masculine see themselves, not by a false light, but by a light that's truer than the one that the masculine can even see within the self, right? That is the beauty of moving with counterpart energy. When we are able to act as true mirrors for each other, we can help one another see things that we cannot see within our own selves. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is the same exact energy. This is exactly what happened yesterday. These are this energy, the energy that was in the divine, that was coming into divine union is basically in divine union now. These two are these messages are so close, like it's just kind of already in the heart of it. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is that modality of energy that's staying committed to the path at hand. Oh, this energy is just focused on the path at hand. It is having a different impact depending on whether you align to masculine or feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. feminine energy. If feminine energy is seeing masculine, right? If feminine energy in separation, they got energy from the past popping back up. They got energy in the present popping back up. But the thing that the feminine energy is doing right now is the feminine getting distracted. No, the feminine energy is not getting distracted. The feminine's not going, well, maybe no, feminine's going, no. I came into this is feminine going, I came into the store looking for one thing. I'm going to stay focused on what I'm looking for. I am looking for masculine energy that is authentic and that knows and is able to have the confidence to articulate to me what it is that they want. Authenticity with intentionality. Loaf of bread, container of milk, stick of milk and butter. I know what I came into the store for. This is what I came into the store for. I'm looking for the masculine energy with authenticity and intentional purpose. Authenticity, intention of purpose. This is literally the feminine energy going like that as they walk down the aisles of life. Even now, and it's hard because look, feminine's seeing a bunch of things that are like almost there. They're moving in the same direction. Feminine's going, oh, and feminine's going, no. Authenticity, intentionality of purpose. Masculine energy. This is you finding your this is you finding your intentionality of purpose. Why? Because you're recognizing and identifying that you're going to be wandering around until you get there. This is masculine energy that even now maybe these energies are in lockstep right now. This is masculine energy encountering feminine energy saying, you seem cool, but you also seem like you don't know what you want. When you figure out what you want, let me know. Like that's literally the feminine, like that's a masculine energy kind of recognizing and realizing this to a certain capacity. Even now we're seeing that a lot of the masculine energy having that moment. I'll have to say, this feels like a lot of lightning for the masculine. Like, because this isn't a feminine energy saying, like, come, like, step up to the plate. This is the feminine energy saying, do you want to play or not? It's not about kind of assuming, or like, this is the feminine energy, not saying masculine, you have to assume a role. It's like, you need to say what you want. You got to say what you're doing. Like, this is the masculine almost feeling like, it's like someone being like, it could just be that easy. Like, and that's a masculine, like, when that happens, even now, there could be a lot of the masculine energy it was expecting, like even in a moment of separation, like having a moment of being, oh, like, yeah, I'm just going to kind of be doing this until I figure out like what my path and purpose is, right? Because this is a lot of the masculine energy right now that's having the room, they're having the energetic room, if you will, to figure out what that path and purpose is. And one of the things about it right now is, again, the thing that's important about this with the masculine journey is if you're making the choice not to have a path, I got to stress this, if you're making a choice not to have a path or purpose, that's also a choice. Like, that's also a choice. Like, that's what the masculine's recognizing. Even the choice not to make a choice is a choice. Like, that is also stating your intentions to a certain extent. So we see even now that that's a masculine energy that's like, I need to be clear about my purpose. Even if my purpose is to have no purpose, that's a purpose. Not saying that you don't have a purpose is like a purpose. Like, everything has a purpose. So this is just the masculine energy getting into a space of really being able to articulate and identify like what that is. And I have to say, it's saying to me like masculine's like, give me a little bit of room as I try to figure this out, because this is the masculine saying, I need to be able, I can't just not say what I'm doing. If I'm not doing anything, I need to at least say what that is, because even that is something, right? Like that, even like everything has a purpose, even the things that don't have purpose. So this is like, this is the masculine, like trying to figure out like what, this is masculine in separation, trying to discover what that highest version of self looks like for themselves. What is the feminine energy seeing in me? This is the masculine energy trying to identify what that highest version of self looks like. What is that? What is the shape of that? Because that's a masculine going, I need to find it within if I want to be able to articulate what it is that I desire without. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, look at this energy. This is beautiful. Look at all these major arcana. This is wild. We've got here our Fool card, our Sun card, our King of Swords, and our Star card. So again, this is the beauty. Like, look what happens when everything's with a nice open palm. Like, this is literally feminine going, you can do what you want. I'm not going to chase you. I'm just going this way, and I'm going to be open about it. This is the feminine energy almost looking to masculine in separation, being like, it doesn't have to be complicated. And if you make it complicated, then you're confused. And if you're confused, I wish you the best of luck on your journey, because this is the feminine energy that's basically in that state or space of being like, I don't have time for any kind of energetic confusion. This is the feminine energy that's kind of saying to the masculine right now, like, I know what the direction that I'm moving in is. I'm happy to energetically reveal it to you once you tell me, once you show me that you have the same ability to think from the same context and being able to articulate like what your aspiration is in terms of where you are and where you hope to go. So we see even now, for a lot of the feminine energy, this is a feeling of deep energetic contentment, because this is the feminine energy saying, I'm going to continue forward on my way because I know what I'm looking for and I know what it looks like. And I'm not going to look at someone and go, maybe that's it, because that's the feminine energy going, if I have to squint, then it's not it. If I have to squint and tilt my head and step back and go, if I go like this, it kind of looks like, like that's the feminine going, no, I know what it looks like. I know what I'm seeking. I know what that manifestation goal is. And that's a feminine energy saying, like, it's not going to be hidden. It's not like, it's not hiding within someone. It's going to be it's going to be as clear as the nose on my face, right? So this is the feminine energy, as it were, that's kind of recognizing that and staying very focused on their energetic goals and being, I have to stress, being very honest with masculine energy in the process, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine energy, you may be recognizing and identifying this right now. Feminine's just looking at you and saying, are you completely confused? Like, are you just wandering around, or do you know what it is that you want? And the feminine's like, it's not, and that's the feminine going, if it's confusing, then you're either confused or you're trying to confuse me, right? And that's the feminine being like, it doesn't matter. It's the same. It doesn't matter if you're confused and you need energetic help, because feminine's like, I can't energetically help you because I'm looking for something very specific. Or that's feminine energy saying, you're trying to confuse me intentionally. And that's the feminine energy going, in either context, I got stuff to do. I'm looking for something. I'll see you later, right? Masculine, and that masculine and feminine energy in the divine union, in the divine union frequency, this is the energy that has chosen each other because they facilitate a space in saying, you never energetically confuse me. We don't move in a state or space of trying to energetically confuse each other. This is the energy saying, you make something easy. And that's the energy that realizes and recognizes, again, if you look to someone and say, you make this so easy, that's because they say to themselves, I know how hard it is to make something easy. Because for masculine, that's saying masculine is looking at a feminine, saying you've mastered your own self. You're in a state or space that you recognize and you value your own worth. You do that work in trying to maintain your own energy. You don't project that outwards. You don't look to others to help or rescue or save you. You do that work entirely within the self. That's a masculine energy looking towards the feminine and saying, like, that is the energy of the counterpart, because that's a masculine looking towards feminine and saying, we are energetic partners, but that's not a space because you lean on me. That's a space because you energetically choose me. Well, for feminine looking towards masculine, this is that same moment of the feminine looking towards the masculine and saying, again, if this is a masculine that has the ability to express to the feminine their doubts and their fears, this is the feminine energy that is saying to the masculine, you're like one of the bravest people I've ever energetically met, because this is the feminine energy that says you do the work of knowing what it is that you want, even in the face of your own anxieties and fears. So these are energies that lean on each other without leaning on each other. Do you see that? They're energies that support each other. They're energies that do the work within the self to be the best energy that they can be as counterparts to one another. And they do that not necessarily for the sake of preserving the partnership. They do it because they're on a healing journey of the self. So we see even now, like, this is that moment of feeling the value of energy that feels like they've gone through a lot of that energetic hard work and come out the other side. and they've effectively and essentially found the counterpart that can meet them there. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here 10 of Cups, masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. That's that moment that even now, like that's that feeling of energetic contentment if doing that type of work. Because the energy that when they have a hardship, don't like project it out on each other, don't blame the other one, but take that in as a moment to help amplify and recognize new alternatives, new productivity points, new energetic pathways. That's that moment that feels like, even while you may be moving and working towards your manifestation goals, you're already effectively there. Because that's the energetic equivalent of finding a way to always maintain that level or degree of energetic balance, always working to restore that feeling of energetic peace and harmony. And it's not looking to some long-term path process. It's not looking to some long-term manifestation goal to bring forward that sense of energetic harmony. It's not trying to say to another, you have to change so that I feel energetically harmonious. That's that moment of looking at something in a state of togetherness and saying, what do we need to do to energetically restore the balance? If that's not there, what can I energetically give you? How can I energetically support you? What can we do to be able to foster that type of energetic environment, if you will? And we see even now that a lot of that energy moving in that way, this is the energy that while they may have felt like a lot of that density in terms of feeling an energetic hurdle, being able to, again, let that be something that propels you into recognizing and identifying, finding a new alternative solution, finding a new possibility, finding a new like a new pathway through something energetically heavy. That is what we see is allowing that amplification point in being able, what happens when you build a space that even when negative things happen, you turn them into energetic positives. You create that sense of what you're aspiring and desiring, that energy of frequency of positivity in the long-term manifestation goal right here. You don't need to wait for the manifestation goal. You're embodying the frequency right here. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is why this energy even now is choosing themselves, because this is the energy that has found the ability. They're saying you make something feel easy. You are my compass point. You are my direction. Whatever happens, it becomes wonderful because you're here with me and we're navigating that energetically together. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is the energy focusing on what that manifestation goal is. This is the energy in separation, even now, focusing on that manifestation goal. Because this is that energy that's doing all of that hard work. Even now, this is hard for feminine because this is feminine that's feeling that sense of being able to energetically let someone go if they're not there, and being like, you seem nice, you just don't seem ready. You just don't seem ready. You got a lot of potential, kid. You got a lot of potential. You got a lot of potential, but you might not seem ready yet. And the feminine energy is almost looking to the masculine and being like, when you're ready, you know where to find me, right? Like that's almost that energetic equivalent, if you will. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy here navigating through those moments is the feminine energy that's staying very focused in relationality to what their manifestation goal is. And that's the feminine energy almost saying to themselves, I'm not gonna stress myself out fearing I'm gonna miss it. Because the feminine energy is like, I'm literally manifesting an energy that says I'll never miss it. It's not something that can be missed. How could I miss it? That's the feminine energy. Is like, I will know it when I see it. I'm manifesting an energy that is so confident with their own intents and purposes. Like feminine's like, that's a part of the manifestation goal. They're going to be clear about what they energetically want. Feminine's like, I'm not going to inquire and be like, I need to make sure that you're the type of person that's clear about what you want. That's a feminine energy. The minute they have to do that, the feminine's like, well, that's clearly not it. Like masculine energy in separation right now. This is you finding that path and purpose. And it's a twofold method. It's masculine navigating and saying, look, this is how you find your path and purpose. You want to fix your compass? Here's your compass. Here's how you fix your compass, everybody. What is it that you want? What does it look like? Imagine, close your eyes. What does that perfect place look like? Who's next to you? What does it look like? Who's next to you? That's it. And that's a masculine going, okay. Oh, well, there it is. Like, write it down if you have to. Be like, this is what I want. This is the person I want with me. And recognizing, again, for a lot of the masculine energy, the big question is whether you know that person, like whether that person exists, or whether you know what that person is. You have the shape of that person and you know which way to find it that way. Like either way, we see here, like that is the moment of feeling like that sense of being able to embrace hope. Because as long as you've got your compass, you know which direction you're heading in, right? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool card and our Sun card. One card to clarify. Look at that. These are beautiful. What happened? Everyone took a good nap or something? This is much better than yesterday. Much better than yesterday. We've got here our Fool card, our Sun card, our three of Pentacles. Like, what is it? Peace in the kingdom here. All right. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. Like this is, I told you, you had to be like, you just had to ride out that energetic wave of heaviness that was coming through after the eclipse. Because this is hitting a little bit of that restoration point again. This is getting your feet back on terra firma to a certain extent. This is that moment or modality. And we see even now, it's not that, like the amplification of the eclipse energy was a positive. It helped you feel an intensity. But what happened during that intensity? Did you falter in that moment? Or did it help you like feel something and it just reaffirmed your own energetic commitment? If you didn't let yourself get triggered, if you just let yourself experience what you're experiencing, that's the possibility of wonderful breakthroughs, because it's almost like it's shown a light on the path that you need to go on, but you didn't go running off in some weird direction. Like instead, it just helped you build that point of clarification, as it were, that's now building like that energetic, like now that your path is clear, you can continue forward to a certain extent. For a lot of the feminine energy right now in separation, even now, this is one of those moments of saying, like, almost being energetically proud of yourselves to a certain extent. If you're encountering someone that you're saying is like halfway on that journey, you're almost saying to them, like, you're saying, well, there's definitely improvement there. I'm seeing something in that masculine energy that I didn't see before. This is the feminine energy going, I'm going in the right direction, right? That's the feminine energy saying, I know that this is the right direction to go into, because I'm seeing signs of masculine energy around me that's on that healing journey. So that's the feminine energy feeling again. If you're not finding what you're finding, it's that sensation of saying, I must be getting close, right? This must be the spot. Like, this must be the spot, because I'm already seeing that there's energy that seems like it's moving in that general direction, right? So for feminine, identifying and recognizing that, that's a feminine energy saying, okay, that's okay. I don't need to worry that I'm missing something. I just need to keep heading in that direction, right? Masculine energy in separation, if you're building that, if you're having a moment of energetic understanding, but you're moving through in a point of confusion, and even now you're feeling like you're moving in the right direction, you're also seeing feminine energy. You're trying to build forth with a place of space or energetic honesty. But you're now suddenly realizing that some of the feminine energy that you want to build forth with is stepping back energetically, because they see something that could be best described as some energetic confusion on your part in relationality to being able to articulate and identify what it is that you truly want. Then that's a moment for masculine that's saying, again, helping you recognize and say, I need to be focused on what it is that I want. Because if that's either feminine energy moving away from you at that time, then that's that moment of, again, realizing and recognizing that that's not a feminine energy that's rejecting you. That's a feminine energy that's feeling a caution point, because they feel like there's something that you're not articulating to them in terms of your intentions that are making them feel trepidatious in moving forward with you. Again, and for a lot of the masculine energy, if there's something that you're hitting about that anxiety or fear about revealing what your heart's desire is to a feminine, this is that moment that feels like that moment of energetic clearance, because that's that moment of identifying and recognizing that if there's any state or space wherein you tell the feminine what your heart's desire is, and the feminine energy says, no thanks, that's not my cup of tea, that's not energetic rejection. That is a safety zone. That is the best conversation you can have, because that's a feminine that's telling you we're on different paths. I'm not going to San Diego. I'm going to Albuquerque. I wish you the best. I hope you have fun trying to get to Albuquerque, right? Like that's the moment that, again, feels like that energetic gift, because that's that moment of saying, I can't build with someone blindly. I can't move towards having everything that I aspire and desire, hoping that they'll just become accommodated with what I want. That's not the feeling of divine union. That's not divine union. Divine union is moving with counterpart energy that's like, I love Albuquerque. I'm going to Albuquerque. I've been to Albuquerque 3 times. It's the best. It's that type of energy that you want to build with. It's that type of energy that you want. You want someone that can be energetically excited and help move you and amplify in that direction, as opposed to like feeling like you're like carefully leading someone to Albuquerque who's trying to go to San Diego, right? That's the difference energetically between what you can have versus what you like navigate towards when you feel like you can't energetically reveal what it is that you aspire and desire to have in the long term with the feminine. So we see even now that we're recognizing that that ability of masculine to take that energetic leap of faith is the reminder that if you want that same energy of excitement, if you want that feeling of harmony and joy, you have to have that ability to put that leap of faith out there to be able to aspire and desire if someone can energetically match you in that way. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, I mean, again, you're very focused on where that destination is. Like that is an energy that feels like they're not in lockstep in relationality to what it is that they feel like they're energetically building towards. It's more, again, what is the difference? What is the difference between a productive conflict and an argument? An argument are two different people, two are energies that want very different things, and they're trying to convince the other to want what they desire. A conflict is energy that all wants the same thing. They just got different ways of getting there. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy navigating that ability to find the terra firma for the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, that is what's setting that guidepost. That's what remembering the manifestation goal is, allowing that ability of adaptability and relationality to feeling what you need to change and amend to continue to build forth in that way. Masculine and feminine energy that is moving into divine union, this is you taking that leap of faith and creating it for yourself. What's amazing for the energy that's moving into divine union right now, and this is why it feels a little bit energetically frightening, but it's also exciting. It's like you're building something where something did not exist. Where there was nothing, now there is something. It's your divine union. You're creating something where something didn't exist. It feels like a leap of faith that results in something tangible being there. Continuing to get clarification between our Sun card and our King of Swords in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Eight of Cups. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. That's the ability. What's beautiful about the energy in the divine union frequency is this is energy that is very good at recognizing anything that feels like it's an energetic hurdle. This is the energy that doesn't dwell on what feels like it's energetic hurdles. This is energy that accepts that there will be energetic hurdles that need to be faced as you're moving towards manifestation goals, right? Like that's that moment of acknowledgement and acceptance. What's important for the energy that's moving towards manifestation goals together in the heart of the divine union frequency is that moment of recognizing and identifying what feels like something that needs to be navigated around, something that needs to be adapted to, versus something that feels like it is energetically blocking a goal, blocking a pathway, blocking a purpose. And so for the energy right now in the divine union frequency, that ability to recognize and identify the difference between what feels like it is something that needs to be navigated, either within or without, versus what feels like it is actually blocking an ability to move forward in a certain way. That is that identifiable point. Remember how I told you right now? How I told you over the last few weeks, there's been a moment of observing and identifying that as we energetically change, as we grow, even in the divine union frequency, there is that modality, there is that point of recognizing that so too do our own manifestation goals adapt and shift and change. And even now there was a moment of trying to reprioritize, reorient to see, to make sure that you're still moving towards the same manifestation goals. This is that moment of energetic adaptability that feels like a point of energetic breakthrough, because this is that identifiable point, if you will, between what feels like something that can be navigated around versus what feels like it is energetically blocking a path point. So each one of those requires something energetically different. That's why we see even now that ability to identify what feels like something that is energetically needs some point of change from without right now in the divine union frequency versus something that needs to be worked on within. That ability to identify that, I told you, it's about understanding the landscape that you're navigating in to help facilitate the path point going forward. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is what we see to a certain extent is what is allowing that sense of being able to leave behind whatever you're energetically leaving behind. And yes, there is that feeling of energetic weight here. There is that feeling of energetic nostalgia. There is that feeling of letting go. But look at that sense of positivity on the other side of this. This is why even now, this retrograde period, while it may be bringing up situations and circumstances from the past that are rising to the surface, as it were, we're also recognizing and identifying that if they feel to a certain extent like a moment of energetic acceptance as you proceed forward into the heart of the divine union. Because what we're recognizing and identifying here to a certain extent is, again, for masculine energy, that sense of understanding your intentionality of purpose and your manifestation goal and moving towards it and not letting yourself either block your own sense of self with the feelings of the abandonment wound rising up in the process, being able to energetically work through that abandonment wound. Or for the feminine, this is that moment for the feminine of seeing a masculine. This is literally seeing a masculine that has built that sense of energetic resilience to the sense that they don't self-sabotage, that they don't run away from energetic intensity, but instead embrace it and utilize it to build a deeper connection of intimacy with the feminine. That is even further reaffirming to the feminine that same sense of being able to leave behind what is being energetically left behind here as they proceed forward with the masculine. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is the feminine energy not getting distracted. This is the feminine energy not getting distracted effectively, because this is that moment that we see even now. If there's feminine energy that's starting to encounter energy that seems like they're just beginning their journey in the direction of being able to find their path and purpose, is this feminine energy that's like pulling out a map and being like, okay, I'll help you figure that out for like the next like several years. No, this is feminine energy going, you seem like you're a little lost. I hope you find your way. I'm going this way. What? No, I'm not going to tell you where I'm going. Where are you going? Right? Like, where are you going? This is feminine energy going, why don't you tell me? Oh, you can't tell me where you're going? Oh, okay. Well, I hope you find where you're going. No, you can't come with me. Like, this is the feminine going, no, I'm sorry. You can't come with me. I'm looking for something. I got to go find it. You have fun here. Okay. So for the feminine energy, that's the feminine energy saying, feminine energy is literally going, I'm looking for the masculine energy that knows where they're going. Like that's a feminine energy going, like, you don't, I'm sorry. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I'm looking for somebody. No, they're right around, they're somewhere around here. I'm going to find them. Like, like that's the feminine energy saying, no, I'm going that way. Sorry. Masculine energy in separation. This is that moment of potentially feeling like, again, this is beautiful. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of maturation that's coming through right now for a lot of the energy right now that we're seeing of the masculine in separation. Because this is the masculine energy basically saying to themselves, I need to know what I'm looking for. If I feel lost, I need to figure out what I'm looking for. This is literally masculine energy saying to themselves, if I feel lost, I need to find what I'm looking for, and no one else is going to be able to tell me what that is. I'm always going to feel energetically lost if I don't know what I'm looking for. And even now, there's a little bit of the masculine is realizing and recognizing that the reason the feminine is not revealing what they're looking for is because masculine energy is saying to them, realizing and recognizing and saying, the feminine energy knows, like they know what that they're looking for. The feminine energy has the manifestation goal. And this is the masculine energy saying, the feminine energy that knows what they're looking for, that has a pathwork and purpose. The reason the feminine energy seems like they have a purpose is because they have a manifestation goal. And the feminine energy that knows what they're looking for and has a manifestation goal, the feminine energy that knows what they're looking for and has a manifestation goal is looking for masculine energy that knows what they're looking for and has a manifestation goal. And if I want feminine energy, if my goal is I want feminine energy that, knows what they're looking for, they have a purpose and they have a manifestation goal. Masculine energy is like, I better come up with one myself. Because no one's, the energy is not, does not want to, is not in, it's like, it's literally masculine going, that type of energy does not want to be in a space or state of masculine that feels like they don't, right? That's the masculine energy saying and recognizing to a certain extent and saying, and this is that moment of masculine saying, I need to find that from within. That's not something I can find from without. That's not something that I can graft onto another. I need to understand. I need to find that destination within the self. So we see even now that a lot of this may be feeling like there's a deep amount of maturation that's happening for some of the masculine energy in relationality to coming into a sense of saying, what is my heart's desire? What is the shape of that? Okay, now that I figure that out, I better find a space or place to be able to articulate that to the feminine, because that is the heart of intimacy. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Swords and our Star card. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming. I know it does. You don't like talking about it. I know you don't like talking about it. Masculine again. Like this is the masculine energy and separation going. But what if I tell the feminine what my heart's desire is, and the feminine doesn't like? Well, yeah, that could happen. That could happen. But then that's not the feminine energy for you, is it? That's not the feminine energy for you, right? Like there it is. There it is. Like that's the thing. Masculine energy, like that's the thing. One of the things that's really important about the masculine energy, recognizing and realizing that, like, moving towards the feminine energy, coming into a state or space of being able to be, if you want the feminine to be vulnerable towards you, you have to be vulnerable to the feminine. You need to be honest and authentic to the feminine. And that may create states or spaces where some of the feminine energy might not be in alignment with relationality to what it is that you aspire and desire, right? There's a moment that we're seeing here that being able to reveal that heart's desire, it also is that moment that amplifies a choice. Because again, masculine energy, recognizing and identifying that when you reveal your heart's desire to someone, there is that anxiety or that fear of energetic rejection. But what do we see that is occurring right now in relationality to that. This is the masculine remembering the idea of a clear mirror. If you want a feminine to be vulnerable and authentic and honest with you, you have to be in a state of being vulnerable and authentic and honest to feminine. And I don't know if you didn't get the memo, but feminine can read you like a book. Feminine always knows when you're not telling the truth. It's like in the feminine system. They know. Like you can't, it's like this is the masculine. And if you've been dealing with confusing moments with feminine energy that has been navigating with you or creating confusion, is because you've been dealing with feminine energy. If you've been leading towards falsehoods, you've been bringing forth the feminine energy that recognizes that they're dealing with a masculine that deals in falsehoods. So this is the masculine energy recognizing and identifying to a certain extent that like energetically attracts like. If you want that authenticity, you have to be authentic. If you want that vulnerability, you have to be vulnerable. And yeah, it's scary, but that's the masculine saying, wow, if it's scary for me to be authentic and reveal my heart's desire to feminine, I wonder what feminine feels like all the time, having a moment or opportunity where everyone expects that from them at every moment. So for the masculine energy going through this, a lot of this is coming back in connection with the feminine within you. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine energy, this is the feminine energy saying, I need to see the masculine that's able to be intentional with me. I need to see a masculine that moves towards me with the sense of energetic purpose. I don't need to feel like I need to lure them out to be able to move towards me, because this is the feminine energy saying, if I have to do that now at the time that I'm first meeting a masculine, that's just the way it's always going to be. Like, that's not something that's going to shift. That's me encountering that masculine and being like, that is the state that masculine is in. It doesn't get better, right? It's just something that I get used to. I'll have to get used to it because it's not going to energetically change. And so this is the feminine energy basically saying, to a certain extent, like having to accept that's the feminine energy being a lot more conscientious, as it were, with who they allow to have energetic access to them. This is just the feminine energy, again, and this is the beauty of the feminine energy, which is, again, not letting that be a state or space that you utilize it as a point of anxiety, but just looking at it as a moment of feeling like that sense of preciousness. Precious things need to be treated preciously, right? And so this is the feminine energy saying, I'm looking for the masculine energy that knows the preciousness of a feminine connection and works to protect it, right? And so we see even now that that's a feminine energy, almost calling in that sense of the manifestation of masculine that acts as, again, someone that is energetically protective, but also from a state or space of being authentic and intentional. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency, this is the energy that's energetically found that. This is the energy that, again, holds each other with an open palm, right? What exists between them is something where it's about the value. It's about the value that they place upon one another. It's the value of looking towards one another, and masculine saying, again, feminine, you are my direction. That doesn't mean that the masculine lacks a direction, but that's the masculine that says, you help me move forward towards my direction even more. You give me that energetic guidance. You help me see myself. You see me, you see who I am, you see what I'm aspiring for. And that's the feminine saying, I'm not giving you a false sense of self, right? That's the feminine almost saying to masculine, I'm not feeding you, I'm not giving you some kind of false sense of self. I'm telling you what's there. I'm showing you your own work. Like, if I'm showing you something about yourself, it's because it's not a falsehood. It's because you're energetically worthy to receive it. I'm giving you what you're giving me because what you've given me is all of that work that you've already done on yourself. And I'm just providing that clear mirror because you make it easy to be able to be a clear mirror to you because you've done that energetic work. And so that's that moment that even now, that's the preciousness of feeling like the prioritization point is the energetic connection. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union right now, this is that modality that we're energetically seeing to a certain extent that speaks towards the fact that for a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency right now, you've energetically changed a lot in the heart of the divine union. And we see even now, there's a moment of recognizing how much you've changed. There's also a moment that feels like, I mean, this is one of the difficulties with energetic union. There's not a place or space for energetic falsehood. You know, that's that moment that almost feels like that amplification or reflection point of understanding and identifying to a certain extent the need and ability to articulate how one energetically feels is one that requires a lot of energetic discernment, because it's that moment that when you start to feel like that sense of not being able to articulate or express something, that you start to fall back into misalignment, because that's that moment that feels like you're starting to put a wall between you. So we see even now that a lot of this energy is trying to be mindful of not creating energetic walls in relationality to how they're feeling and what they're building. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our star card in combination with our 10 of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our 2 of Pentacles in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. One of the things that we're seeing right now is recognizing and identifying, continuing to make sure, even now, that you're in energetic alignment, that you're doing that heavy work, that you're putting a lot of that practice. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not something that you set it and forget it. It's something that continually requires careful attunement, careful assessment, and not just from without, but from within. Because as we change and evolve and grow in the divine union, we also have to recognize and identify that there's an adaptability that is energetically required in order to sustain something of that magnitude. So we see even now that ability to recognize, and I see even now, I'm telling you again, one of the things that's really important right now that is energetically happening is the difference in relationality to manifestation goals. Because I told you, what is the difference between an argument and a conflict? An argument are two different people that are different people that want different things, and they're fighting with one another about where to go. Like, you know, like this place or that place, right? That's the argument. Okay. A conflict, a productive conflict, is a moment that we can articulate as energy that wants the same thing, but has different ways of going about it. So what is the energy at the heart of the divine union doing right now? Utilizing discernment to try to observe and recognize the difference between whether you are in, if something over the eclipse happened that created some kind of energetic trigger or conflict. This is that moment of trying to ascertain and identify if that was a moment wherein you're still moving towards the same manifestation goals, or if that is because that there's a desire or aspiration to move in different energetic directions here that is effectively occurring, which would require a different approach, right? That is the energetic difference to a certain extent. And we see that happening even now. So that is what we're, masculine and feminine energy coming into, because those require, like I said, those require different things, right? One requires like moderation. One requires finding the pathwork that brings you back into alignment. Like that may be a different approach, a third option, if you will, you know, or that's a moment of finding a sense of recognizing, again, if there's different approaches, what is the approach that will allow you guys both to feel that sense of energetic satisfaction? Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. One of the things that we're recognizing and identifying coming into the divine union frequency is that modality wherein that's you blending your worlds together. You're doing this right now. You're already doing that energetic work. So for the energy right now that's doing that energetic work, That's that moment that even if it's frustrating, even if it's hard, even if you're recognizing that you need to like energetically, surrender that autonomy for the sake of blending the energy together, it feels like something that's absolutely joyful, because that's that moment of saying like that is the aspiration, like that is the manifestation goal. These are energies that are saying this is our aspiration, this is our manifestation goal, this is what we want to do. Like, so that's that moment that feels like a point of success, even if it's energetically difficult to do so, right? Because that's that moment that feels like, when we love someone, we do hard things joyfully. Masculine and feminine energy right now. This is the feminine energy coming into the value point of the difference. This is just the feminine energy coming to terms with the fact that not all masculine energy shares the same manifestation goals of the feminine. This is just feminine energy coming to terms with it. It's just feminine. I gotta say, not everyone wants divine union. Sad but true. Not everybody wants it. A lot of energy does not want the amount of surrender or the amount of path work that is required to be able to maintain and sustain a divine union. It takes a lot of self-work. Some energy would prefer to go on the personal journey. They're either not energetically ready, or it's not something or a space or place that they have any interest at all in experiencing or navigating. That's the feminine energy. And that's the hard part. I'm going to say it again. That's the hard part for the feminine energy, because for the feminine energy, looking at a masculine that isn't clear on their intentions. The problem with the feminine energy is the feminine energy looks at the masculine energy that's not clear at their intentions and says, are you too afraid to tell me what you want? Or do you want something so far beyond what I want that you don't want to reveal it? And the thing that the feminine is accepting is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the reason the masculine can't be forthright has to do with their own inability to encounter the fear of intimacy, or if what they truly desire is so far afield of what they think that the feminine wants that they don't want to reveal it, because all of it speaks to the same energetic problem, which is an issue with intimacy and an inability to communicate. It's unfortunately, I know it's different, because I know those are energetically very different, but ultimately the outcome is the same. And as painful as that is, and don't care if you get all kinds of spiritual insight as to which one that might be that is occurring, it doesn't matter. Because if someone cannot manifest something in the tangible space, it doesn't matter what's happening on the spiritual or energetic one. Right? If you can't manifest it in the intentional space, it doesn't matter. It's all the same in the energetic wash. So we see even now that that's the feminine energy saying, I'm doing the work. I'm doing the work to bring the manifestation goal in. The masculine needs to show the ability to do the same hard work. And yeah, the feminine is going, I know it's hard. But that's the feminine taking that energetic tough love approach and saying, we can do hard things. If I can do hard things, you can do hard things. Feminine's like, I always have to do hard things. Masculine energy has to come into the state of recognizing and coming into the ability to navigate and find the courage to be able to be emotionally vulnerable. Because that is what it's going to take. That is what it is required to be able to have a functional energy that can move into divine union. And feminine energy saying, I'm not relinquishing that manifestation goal, but I'm also not going to be in a space or place of helping someone facilitate that. They need to have done the energetic work. Masculine energy, if in separation right now, this is that modality that we are seeing and experiencing wherein you are potentially looking at circumstances and scenarios wherein you are feeling some of that energetic confusion potentially if in separation. You're looking at circumstances or experiences. You're weighing your energetic options. But a lot of this may be a moment that it's not the fact that you're not looking at options right now. You may be looking at them in a very different energetic way. Because this is masculine energy that is building a sense of understanding. Look, this is either masculine energy doing that work of trying to find the energetic confidence to build into the heart of intimacy, being able to blend intentionality with authenticity, to be able to reveal to feminine what that true dream is, to be able to build with them. Or this is masculine energy that's working through this right now that is making a determination point as to whether they feel like they're energetically ready for divine union. In either fashion, we see that masculine energy is focusing on what that long-term scenario is and who they imagine to be beside them as they do, whether that be the aspiration of an individual or an individual themselves. Masculine and the energy, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our 3 of Pentacles in combination with our 8 of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our 7 of Wands in its reversal. It's hard. I know. It's hard. We just said you can do hard things. Glennon Doyle, not my line. We can do hard things. We're recognizing that. We're identifying that. For a lot of the masculine energy right now, this is a moment that may feel like that energetic path point, if in separation, of resistance. And that resistance may either exist on the internal level, your ability to really focus on what that is and confronting those fears within you that may have potentially blocked your own blessings in the past, or it's looking at all of the hurdles that may potentially stand in the way of what it is that you truly aspire and desire going forward right now. But what are we recognizing and identifying to a certain extent in relationality of that? This is the masculine energy building in the present, being very practical, looking at something from a very practical way to be able to really identify this is that sorting process of looking at something and saying to oneself, is there a possibility of pathwork here, or is there something that I need to move away from? Remember what I just said about the energy and conflict point in divine union? I told you the energy in separation is doing the exact same thing in separation as the energy at the heart of the divine union. Nothing is lost. The question is just about finding it. And for the masculine energy, this is a moment of saying to oneself, what requires the energetic effort to push through on something? Where do I need to push? Where do I need to put that practical element, to push through, versus what do I need to walk away from? So even now, this is the masculine energy trying to ground that manifestation goal in what they feel is truly energetically possible versus what needs to be walked away from to help guide them towards it. But what's beautiful about this is in either context right now, that's masculine energy saying, I'm going to go towards my manifestation goal. This is masculine going, I'm going to go towards my manifestation goal. It's just a question of how to get there. Do I have to push through a path, or do I have to walk away from something? Masculine and feminine energy, because those are different things. Masculine and feminine energy that's in separation right now, the feminine energy in separation, this is the feminine energy that's almost saying to themselves, this is almost the feminine energy. I told you, taking a little bit of a loose hand approach to things. Feminine's I'm not going anywhere. Feminine energy's I'm not going to fight for it. And if someone's creating the obstruction point, I'm going to walk away from it. Feminine's Feminine's path of peace. Feminine's path of peace. Feminine's I'm just going to start building it. Feminine's I'm going to my manifestation goal, one way, or I'm busy. I'm just moving, and I'm just going to keep going in this way. I'm not going to be able to miss it. And I know that whoever wants to build with me, again, this is feminine going, I'm building. No, I don't want to fight. I don't want to play tug of war. No, I don't want to hear you warning me that if I don't go follow your path, you're going to go away and not come back. Feminine's I'm busy. Are you going to come build with me or not? Do you want to build something, or do you want to play tag? Do you want to build something, or do you want to play keep away? Feminine's I'm building. I've got my blocks out. I'm making something here. If you want to do this with me, you can sit down and we can build something together. But I don't feel like playing whatever that is that you're playing there, because that seems exhausting and I got stuff to do. That's the feminine energy saying, I'm building something. Go away. You have to know what you want to build. What would you like to build? You don't want to tell me what you want to build? What? Why are you running away? Why are you stealing a block? What are you doing? I'm building. Okay. When you know what you want, to build, I'm still going to be here building. It's fine. Have fun. I'm just not joining you. Mass, and that's just that, that's where it is. So we see even now these energies going through the same exact process. Masculine and feminine energy, and that's the feminine. Look at this. This is the feminine saying, I am choosing a side. This is feminine going, I'm choosing to continue to build what I'm building. And I'm not navigating anything that feels like it's trying to get me off my pathwork. This is literally the feminine separation saying, this is how the feminine's like, I'm building towards my manifestation goal and I'm manifesting the energy that wants to build with me. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, you're building together. That's it. And this is that moment for the energy, like coming into the heart of the divine union. You're like, woohoo, we're making something where something ought not to be. Like that's that moment of feminine and masculine feeling like you're creating something and it's beautiful because it wasn't there before you created it. And that's that moment that, again, whatever it feels like, it's like, you're working now in a space or place that like your prioritization is just, focusing on, protecting and navigating what you're creating, because that's the space of creating something precious where something precious wasn't a moment ago. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is the focus and reorienting and making sure that you're still building the same thing. This is making sure that you still feel like you want that same manifestation goal. The difficulty or hurdle is, again, navigating forth in a way that feels like you're still in energetic alignment as you do so, right? Because we said that a lot of that work right now feels like that moment of harmony in recognizing that as we move towards our manifestation goals, we grow, we change. Our own manifestation goals may adjust and adapt. We may change. The way we feel about something may change. So what are these energies doing right now in relationality in the heart of the divine union? Saying, are we still on the same energetic page? Are we still together as we do this? Or is this something that's like, that's that moment of saying, like identifying what feels like it is working us in the same direction of that versus where are we feeling that moment that we're energetically blocking our own blessings, right? So we see even now like that ability of sorting through what feels like it can be fought through versus what feels like it is blocking. Like that is something that is being articulated now in the divine union frequency, because again, that shows what one has to do to continue to maintain the stability of what you're trying to energetically create. Continuing to do clarification here between our 8 of Cups in combination with our 9 of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. 7 of Cups. There's this, every problem has a solution, and this is the beauty. Again, I know that there was a lot of energetic intensity that resulted in the last few days and weeks with the eclipse cycle. But again, what is the beauty of an amplification point? Something small that is made large. It's helping you, as long as you're not triggered from it, to see something in a bigger way, to be able to address it. And a problem, seeing and recognizing a problem offers a host of new solutions. It offers a host of new possibilities. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy navigating in that state or space, that is that moment that it doesn't feel like a limitation point if you hit something that felt like a triggering moment or an energetic hurdle. It's more of that question or directionality of looking at something and saying, what do we need to do to energetically tackle something? What do we need to do? How do we have to shift our approach? What are our options? Looking at that and allowing that to help guide you forward. But that's not a moment of turning an energetic blind eye to something. That's observing something to be able to find new opportunities, new energetic solutions. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency, This is that moment that feels like a little bit of a leap of faith, because even though you're energetically walking away from something and you're a little uncertain about what you're doing, it's because there's like so many new options. It's like, oh, you got a whole new, like, once you like merge your lives together, it's like, oh, boop, 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 like all these new options pop up in relationality to what you were going to do, because that's that moment that you have to reconsider things because you weren't even thinking like again, it's like, yeah, you lose some things, but then you gain all these other ones because all these new possibilities spring forth from the melding of two energies. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is the feminine energy in separation saying, I'm continuing to move forward. If there's something here that feels like it's only halfway there, if I'm seeing and recognizing a masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that seems like they're halfway through their healing journey, this is the feminine energy reminding themselves, saying, I can't be mad right now. What am I doing? I literally just saw a masculine that's halfway on the way to the place I want to go. That's not a bad thing. That's not something that always happens. That's something new. That's saying I'm moving in the right direction. Like, that says like I'm moving, like the arrows are whizzing by my head. This must be where I'm going, right? Because that's that moment of seeing something that feels like it's getting closer to what you're aspiring and desiring for. So we see even now, that's a feminine energy saying to themselves, I have to be ready to recognize and identify what feels like it's for me. Not saying, oh, well, maybe that can become what I want it to be. Instead, feminine's got to be like, no, if I move towards the thing that I think might become what I want it to be, I might avoid the thing that is what I want. I might just miss that entirely, right? And that is the feminine energy reminding themselves that, saying, I'm not missing an opportunity if I'm seeing something that is almost is not there yet. That's the feminine energy saying, it's not that I'm missing that. I might be missing what's actually for me, looking at something that isn't and saying, well, maybe I can turn it into what I want it to be. That's the feminine energy saying, like, that's the feminine energy healing their own abandonment wound by saying to themselves, like almost saying to the universe, like, you know what I'm looking for. You know, and this is the feminine almost saying to themselves, going, I know what I'm looking for. Is that what I'm looking for? No, not yet. Not yet isn't good enough. I can't look at someone and say they could become. I have to see and say to myself, I want them to be. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is that moment that we're seeing to a certain extent, wherein we're recognizing and identifying if these are circumstances or situations wherein the masculine is doing this work in separation to be able to recognize and identify, as it were, situations or circumstances wherein they're experiencing feminine. And there's a moment, masculine, if you're in a state or space wherein you may be identifying that one of the reasons that you didn't tell the feminine energy what your manifestation goals were was because you were trying to energetically leave your options open. This is one of those moments that we see even now for masculine, potentially recognizing that that's a moment wherein you potentially block your blessings. Because that's that moment that we see even now, that this is masculine recognizing and realizing that if you were moving into a state or space wherein you weren't being authentic about your intentions, it's not like you are tricking the feminine in any way. That's the feminine energy seeing that and being like, you don't want to prioritize the feminine energy. That's why we see even now, this is the feminine and masculine energy going through a moment. And this is why it's so difficult, because I can see that this is happening on either side. If this is masculine energy that was too afraid to reveal their true intentions to the feminine, this is the masculine realizing that this is the feminine having always assumed that that was a masculine that was potentially leaving their options open as to why they didn't reveal their heart's desire to the feminine. And that's a moment that can feel very energetically heartbreaking, because that's a moment of realizing that your own fear may have limited you in being able to build forth in genuine connection with the feminine. Or if this is a masculine energy that actually was not leading forth to be able, not wanting to reveal your intentions to a feminine because your intentions were literally to keep your options open. I mean, you're potentially recognizing that, like, you're you're not building a real connection with feminine. Like you've never really energetically known a feminine, because feminine recognizes when you do that. It's like you haven't energetically fooled anyone. You've just never truly experienced a feminine that's open to you. So we see even now that that's a lot of the masculine energy and separation, having a moment of deep consideration and relationality to what you give forth to feminine is what you get back. Like feminine is a mirror. They give back to you what you put forth. And so we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy, that may be recognizing that you've either been bringing forth a lot of feminine, they're willing to like engage with you in that shallow capacity, or a lot of energy that just kind of avoids you because they see that within you and they don't want to necessarily energetically engage with it. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is the energy that's not looking back. This is the energy that's going through that process of energetically letting go of whatever they need to let it go with, because this is that moment of feeling like the possibilities when you find an energy that you're in alignment with, that you aspire and desire for the same things. It's not that you're perfect. It's not that you're exactly the same, but that's that moment that feels like you've got many hands. It doesn't move you off your path. It feels like you're moving on your path, but now you've got someone that's just as invested in going in that path with you. It's like it creates this abundance of opportunity, because it feels like you're just growing in the bounty of what you are creating within the self with the energy of another to help you at the same time. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union. This is that moment of recognizing how far we energetically come while in the heart of the divine union, ascertaining and assessing the difference between where you may have been from the time you entered the divine union to where you are now, is a moment that, while it may be very sensitive, it also is a moment of recognizing new opportunities, new possibilities, looking at things from a new perspective, because that's that moment of recognizing how much you've changed and evolved. Is never a negative. There's always just new opportunities to explore. So we see even now a lot of that energy identifying, even not like moving through what may have been a triggering point potentially over the eclipse cycle, to allow that to be an opportunity of looking towards new possibilities. The energy of like the divine union is always one that amplifies. Where there's a will, there's a way. There just needs to be a will, like there needs to be that desire. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 9 of Wands in combination with our 2 of Pentacles in its reversal. Clarification coming through right now with, 2 of Swords in its reversal. Double twos here. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union. This is that modality that we're effectively seeing to a certain extent, wherein navigating, and I keep seeing this here, that moment, even in the divine union right now, if there was something that felt like it was triggering or uncomfortable that occurred during that eclipse cycle, having that moment to be able to energetically investigate something and determining whether it's something that was happening from within, something that you are carrying forth within the self, that you brought forth from the time of first entering the divine union, versus something that is happening externally outside of the self. Like that is a moment that helps you ascertain where to put that energetic work. Where does that work need to go? What is going to feel like it is allowing for that sense of energetic easement? And that's the gift of being able to navigate through a discomfiture. It helps you pinpoint what needs to be tackled to be able to have that point of easement. So even now, we see that energetic ability to do so is helping a lot of the energy, as it were, ascertain how to navigate forward from a point of seeing something that may have brought forth an energetic trigger, right? That is the gift of recognizing what happens when we identify an energetic boundary. We can work to facilitate navigating it. We can work to address it, but sometimes we also have to recognize and identify if that's something that feels like it is helpful, right, within, or if we're encountering something that feels more like we've reached something that is potentially needs to be worked on internally to help facilitate towards a manifestation goal. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. What we're effectively identifying here is a lot of this energy coming into divine union. This is that feeling of being like, did I stutter? Even now, even now for a lot of this energy, I told you, a lot of this energy like took some kind of like big leap of faith or some kind of deepening commitment moment during the eclipse. And as long as that was planned, as long as this isn't a stepping back out of fear moment, this is the energy that we're almost seeing to a certain extent that's saying, even if I'm feeling anxiety about that, this isn't energy that's projecting that anxiety out to the other. This is energy that's looking and saying, I'm going to build a bridge with this anxiety. We're going to talk about this anxiety. We're going to share this anxiety together, because even in the sharing of anxiety, it's not that it is my fear or energetic fear. It's ours. We share it. Like we're both in the same, like we're in the same space. We're feeling the same anxieties. We are in lockstep, even in that moment. And that's the gift of being able to reveal something to another and saying, like, what happens in the heart of saying, like, I'm a little afraid. The other energy goes, me too. Like that's that moment that feels like it builds a bridge instead of putting up a wall, when we're able to move through our own intimacy and feel like that intimacy is something that is protected and nurtured and supported. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is that energy that we're effectively seeing to a certain extent, wherein, if in separation, this is the feminine energy basically saying to themselves, even now, seeing that moment and saying to oneself, I need to recognize someone that wants to do that work. I need to recognize someone that understands how much it energetically takes to be in divine union. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. It takes the ability of feeling difficulty and letting that bring you closer instead of pulling you apart. And even now, for a lot of the feminine energy, seeing masculine that may be, again, even in a moment where there may be masculine that's coming toward them from a state of authenticity, but still seems like there's that anxiety, especially as it relates to being able to amplify what the masculine's like manifestation goals are, or what they're aspiring for. This is the feminine energy saying to themselves, if there's masculine energy that's coming towards me and they are authentic, but they're not clear in their intentions. This is the feminine energy saying again, regardless of the reason, it is the same outcome. It doesn't matter what the reason is. Masculine and feminine, masculine in separation. This is you potentially recognizing and realizing that too. This is a moment of saying, but it wasn't that I didn't want to tell them. I was afraid to tell them. I know. But that's that moment of recognizing and identifying that even if your fear makes you become the thing that you fear to become, like if that's that moment that you are too afraid to lead forth in that, then you're in the same wash as someone who may try to beguile or move the feminine away from what they aspire and desire, because you're like, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, if the duck's thinking a different thing, like that's the thing you have to be very mindful of. Like you have to recognize that that's the difference between what's like energetically, and even if the feminine gets some kind of like intuitive sense that wasn't energetically happening, it doesn't matter, because it needs to, if you can't generate or manifest it in the present, then it all kind of looks the same. So we see even now that this is a lot of the masculine energy working through building their own energetic confidence. And a lot of that's going from a point of saying, I don't want to be misunderstood. I'm doing this for myself, but I also want to make sure that I'm doing this because I know the type of confidence it takes to show someone that my intentions are pure. And that takes a profound amount of energetic bravery. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 3 of Pentacles in combination with our 7 of Cups. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now in separation. I got to stress, feminine hates this. I'm telling you right now, I'm sorry. I know you hate it. I know you hate it. Feminine doesn't want to, feminine doesn't like having to be, feminine doesn't like it. Feminine's like, I don't want to have a sword. I don't want to hold this sword. I just want to build with people. Why does it have to be so confusing? I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I know you hate it. I know you hate it. Right? This is feminine energy that like, again, this is feminine energy, you know, realizing and recognizing to a certain extent that this is like what it energetically takes to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like, I know, because you know what's hard about this is the feminine's like, well, why can't everyone just be authentic and intentional? It's like, yeah, well, because the feminine's a lot better with the intimacy. You know what I mean? Like, that's the feminine being like, I know it doesn't make any energetic sense, because like, it's like feminine's like it's literally like looking and being like, I don't understand. Like, yeah, that's why. I'm hoping to explain to you why, but it's like, it's harder because the masculine energy, like, this is where their abandonment wound is, right? The feminine's abandonment wound is like energetically leaving someone behind, making the wrong energetic choice. Like, that's like, it's just where it is. You know what I mean? Like, these are where the abandonment wounds are. Like, you have to take it up with take it up with upstairs. All right. Masculine and feminine energy. So the feminine energy, you know, going through with this right now, like the feminine energy, I have to stress, they hate this. Like, they don't want to have to do this. Like, it's something, again, feminine energy, if it's any support, masculine hates it too. So feminine energy going through this right now is almost that moment, because again, feminine energy doesn't want to feel like they're in that space of making someone feel energetically rejected. You have to understand that. Like, that's the feminine energy being like, you know, I don't want to energetically say no. But that's that moment of recognizing and identifying that, like, you know, the only way to make sure that someone is in alignment with you is making sure that someone is in alignment with you. You know what I mean? Because if not, I'll put it this way. It's one of those moments, I'll express it. Through one place, all possibilities are open, right? That's that moment of saying, like, you want to build, like, if you want to build with us, like, in a single direction, to allow for the amplification of all possibilities, because that's that moment that we see here. The feminine energy is moving into that state or space of trying to, again, not want to focus. If you're working on something, you know, again, look at it like this. You don't want to put your healing, like putting your healing on a single energy. Well, it prevents you from being able to do that in a bigger way. Like, that's honestly the best thing I can say right now around this for anyone who's experiencing this. Like, that's that moment of saying, like, you know, you have to look at it. A lot of the feminine energy saying, like, my services are needed elsewhere. Like, my services are needed elsewhere. Like, is almost what's happening right now on an energetic level for some of this feminine energy, which is saying, I have to utilize my time and my energy wisely. And that can't be focused on trying to repair a single manifestation of masculine, because that's a feminine energy saying, I only have so much time, effort, and energy to go around. And that's that moment of feminine being like, I'm blocking my energetic blessings if I have to put all of my support in trying to sustain a connection. Just do something like sustain a connection with a single masculine energy. Like, that's feminine being like, it's not practical. You know, and it's not ethical. Like, it's almost a feminine going, I'm sorry, it's not ethical for me to do this. It's not ethical for me to energetically help you right now. Like, that's the feminine energy moving into that state or space of saying, like, I'm doing this for the greater good. And this is the masculine energy in separation, looking towards a moment with feminine. You may be recognizing and identifying the fact that, like, again, if you're moving into a state or space that you're just looking toward feminine, that's ready to, like, foster a place of experiencing this, you know, for a lot of the masculine energy right now, it could be that moment of recognizing, again, it's like this, it feels like, to a certain extent, for a lot of the masculine energy and separation, this is either a moment that if, like, there was anything prior to this, I'll put it this way. This is masculine energy's priority shifting to a certain extent. This is the masculine energy and separation, your priorities potentially shifting. Because this is a moment that, like, for a lot of the masculine energy, if this is a point where you are energetically satisfied to a certain extent prior to this point, leaving your options open, there's something about this now that feels like if this has been creating like a conflict zone for you, you may be understanding energetically why, is the best way I can describe this. Because this is that moment of realizing and amplifying that feeling. Like, again, if you don't want to, I'll just say like this: if you're not in a state or space that you're willing to articulate your intentions with the feminine, then it may be seeking, like, the only thing you're seeking in feminine is a feminine that doesn't have any energetic boundaries. And so that's that moment that may feel like, again, it's the fact that, like, if something doesn't feel like it's energetically going anywhere, it's because, like, yeah, there's no dream that needs to be shared. But that's also like a feminine energy that's like lacking their own manifestation goals to a certain extent. So we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy and separation right now, that observational point in understanding and recognizing that is further amplifying either, again, some past path work wherein you may be recognizing that you're now healing your connection with the feminine, or this is masculine energy almost, again, seeing, feeling, and saying, like, you know, I'm like, this is the masculine energy saying, like making that determination point, really. Like, I'm seeing a lot of the masculine energy and separation saying, am I just looking for feminine energy that doesn't have any boundaries? Or am I energetically looking for a feminine energy that I can truly build with? But recognizing that an energy that I can truly build with is an energy that has boundaries. But as long as you protect those boundaries, all things are possible. Those are different things. They may look the same, but they're very energetically different. Remember how I told you right now? The problem with life is that very different things can look the same. Just as we saw here that there's masculine energy. Some of the masculine energy is too afraid to share their dreams. Some of the masculine energy is intentionally not sharing their dream. There's feminine energy that lacks all boundaries, but they're always like, and that's not good. Which just means they're up for anything. And then there's feminine energy that has very strong boundaries, and through them, all things are possible. They may look very similar, but they're very, very different. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Seven of Cups in combination with our Two of Swords in its reversal is, let's continue. I forgot this part. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This is the energy in the divine union frequency that's recognizing, and I'll put it this way. This is the beauty. Look at this. Look what happens. Look what happens for the energy in divine union. What happens for the energy of the feminine that has those boundaries? What is the feminine having happen right now in the divine union? What does the feminine say to the masculine? I love you because I can surrender my boundaries. That's the feminine saying. I have the boundaries and I love them because this is a space that I know I don't energetically need them, right? That's the beauty of it. See? And that's not an energy of the feminine that didn't have the boundaries, and that's how they moved into the divine union. These are energies that, like, have the boundaries, and that's the intimacy. They shed their energetic armor, if you will. So we see even now that a lot of that work of the energy, they say that, like, that's the thing. This is the masculine saying to the feminine, I want you to feel energetically safe, to feel like you don't need to have those boundaries. I respect that you have them, but I want to create a state or space where you feel like you can be energetically free with me, right? That is the beauty of the energetic connection. And feminine saying, I appreciate you because it's not that you don't honor my boundaries. It's that you make it safe for me to be able to be my authentic self. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency right now. This is a lot of that energy coming into a state or space of navigating and being like, look what happens here. This is feminine coming into a deeper sense of themselves while in the divine union frequency, and the ability for the feminine to continue to grow and become more vulnerable is almost that moment that feels like a point of energetic strength for a lot of the feminine in the divine union frequency, because it is helping the feminine get a better understanding of what they truly aspire and desire going forward. And we see even now, like, that ability to be open and clear is what is like energetically helping right now. That ability to, like, again, not allow that openness to be a place where you subject another to your emotions, but almost just feeling them within the self, to be able to navigate how you're energetically feeling like it's safe to be able to do so. Like, that's that moment that feels like, again, the heart of the divine union frequency is one that allows for a robust amount of possibilities, all from that sense of energetic openness and clarity. Masculine, you're also feeling like that, because again, that's that moment that if there's a feminine energy that's feeling open enough to express something in that way, you're feeling that sense of energetic confidence, because you know that you've created a state or space where the feminine feels free enough to in order to do so. So we see even now, like, that is that gift that even through a difficulty or hurdle, it is allowing for new pathways of possibility. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Pentacles in combination with our Two of Swords in its reversal. Clarification coming through right now. I'm not surprised to see it. Oh, decisions. All right. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency. This is that energetic equivalent, if you will, for the energy at the heart of the divine union frequency in relationality to coming into a point of energetic acceptance around circumstances or situations. But again, the ability to observe, even now, that eclipse cycle, bringing something forth to be able to see something in a way that you couldn't energetically see it before. This is that moment that allows for a sense of new opportunity and possibility, because that's that moment that we almost see to a certain extent. The energy in the divine union frequency is almost saying to themselves, it's not about turning a blind energetic eye to something, right? This is that moment of being able to really facilitate and say to oneself, there's something here that allows us for some kind of new opportunity, right? There's some kind of new avenue of possibility here. So even now, that's that moment of accepting, like, those energetic facts that's helping. And a lot of that is coming into that determination point of the difference between what feels like it exists within the self that needs to be navigated or modified or worked through versus what exists outside of the self. Because it's that moment of determining what can be changed from what needs to be navigated from within versus what needs to be externally worked on through without, that is allowing for new possibilities in relationality to that path work. Masculine and feminine energy that's coming into the divine union frequency. This is that moment of letting go, energetically making that decision. And now new opportunities rising up in the face of that energetic decision, right? And even now, it's like that's that moment. It feels like, things that you haven't thought of before are coming into play, because that's that moment that, like, you're recognizing that energetic shift is building something with another. Like, that ability to say, like, we're creating something where something did not exist. Like, that is us building together forward that allows for new opportunities, even in the sake of letting go of what you may have, like, been letting go of in terms of that sense of autonomy in the past. Masculine and feminine energy in separation, this is staying focused on your energetic path work. This is feminine energy even now seeing the possibilities coming forward to them and saying, I know what I'm energetically looking for. This is feminine energy in separation going, I know what I'm energetically looking for. I'm not going to miss it. Feminine energy is going, feeling the confidence and saying, I know I'm not going to miss it. Because feminine energy is saying, I'm manifesting the type of energy that I'm not going to energetically miss it. Like, that's feminine going, how can I miss something if I'm literally manifesting that I can't miss it? Like, that's the feminine going, like, it won't be something I have to investigate to understand if it's there. Like, are you, like, this is somebody being like, are you my manifestation goal? Why are you running? Are you my, like, feminine's like, that's not, like, that's not them. Like, or them being, like, confused and being like, that's not them, right? That's the feminine saying, like, I'm manifesting an energy that knows what they want. Just manifest like, that's it. Like, there you go. Like, that's the feminine going, that's like the feminine feeling like that light and loosening hand. Masculine energy, again, and keeping, even saying the universe, like, Surprise me. This is feminine going, surprise me. Surprise me. Masculine energy and separation right now. This is that moment that we're effectively seeing to a certain extent, where you're potentially recognizing and identifying and seeing the fact that, like, you know, if you move about in confusion, confusion is what you will find. If you move about with intentionality, then you will focus on what you're intended on finding. So we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy, if there's a feeling of feeling like uncertain or feeling energetically lost, that's that reminder that you're not going to find that compass point outside of the self. You got to find it within. So for a lot of the masculine energy, this is really a lot of that internal investigation right now and asking oneself what it is that you truly want, right? Like, what is that compass point? Is it a person? Is it a place? Is it a thing? Is it an idea? Like, that's the energy looking at something and saying, what is it that I'm seeking? So that you can energetically find it. But even now, the ability to articulate on what you're seeking, it may be because you're recognizing, because like the first thing feminine is going to ask you when they see you is, what do you want? What do you want? But you have to understand that the feminine energy isn't going to be satisfied with you saying, I want you. Feminine's going to be like, well, obviously, you're here. You knocked on my door. I know you want me for something. What do you want? What is it that you're seeking? What is your heart calling you forth for? Why? Why? What is it? What kind of connection are you seeking? Because that is the moment of the masculine coming into a better understanding of the self, potentially from a feminine that's bringing out in them and saying, well, yeah, but you can't just be moving around saying that you want things. You have to have a higher purpose, right? Continuing to get clarification on the energy that's moving into divine union has that higher purpose. It's the divine union. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Four of Cups. Final card for today's read is Five of Pentacles in its reversal. We're just tackling the abandonment wounds today. We're just ripping the Band-Aid off. We're just going for it. We're just going for it today, my friends. So, masculine and feminine energy and separation. The problem with this right now is a lot of the feminine energy is going through the abandonment wound and saying, you know, like facing that fear of being like, well, what if I don't energetically find what I'm looking for? And that's the feminine energy confronting the abandonment wound, which is, how does the feminine energy confront the abandonment wound? By saying, is it better not to find what I'm looking for, or be with something I don't energetically want? Is it better to not find what I'm looking for? It is better to be on the path of seeking it versus being in a space or place where I know it is not. That's it. That's how the feminine energy is healing a lot of this abandonment one right now. Saying it is better to be seeking than to be in a space or place where I know that it is not. So we see even now that a lot of that feminine energy, what are you doing right now? What did I tell you about your manifestation goals? You're being content on the journey. You're finding contentment on the journey of looking for what you're seeking. Masculine energy in separation, going through that energetic process, recognizing and identifying and saying to oneself, masculine recognizing and saying, if you want everything, you can have everything. But is that what you energetically want? If that's what you energetically want, then it's fine, but you have to articulate that you want everything. And there's a masculine energy that's recognizing and identifying that even if there's a fear or anxiety, like we got your masculine energy, we got two different masculine energies, or masculine energy saying, I want everything, being like, okay, what is the conflict point of saying to a feminine that you want everything? If you desire something that you're fearing, that you fear to say to someone else, why is that? Typically, if you have a desire that you fear to give to someone else, it's because you don't want someone else to have it either. That's a moment you have to look at your manifestation goal, and you have to truly ask yourself if it's the right manifestation goal. Because if your manifestation goal is not something that you would grant another, you need to ask yourself if that's what you truly seek. And if there's a moment, we've got two different, if there's a masculine energy here that says, well, I don't want that for everybody, I just want my manifestation goal for me. Well, that's something you got to work on, isn't it? That's a bit problematic, huh? But if there's a masculine energy here that is having that energetic moment wherein you're recognizing and identifying that there's something about this right now wherein you're saying to yourself, I'm afraid to bring that forth. I'm afraid to reveal something energetically because it's within me. I'm scared to share my dream with the feminine. Then that is a moment of you, again, confronting your energetic abandonment wound. Because that is the moment that we're energetically seeing, wherein you're recognizing and you're identifying that inability to come into a state of intimacy may make you look like the other energy of having something that you desire that you don't want other energy to desire. So we see even now that for the energy working through this, being able to come into a space of energetic confidence is what effectively makes you come into the heart of finding your path and purpose and staying on that way of being able that you're building with someone energetically instead of working into something that doesn't feel like it's energetically viable. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now. High Priestess in its reversal. So for masculine and feminine energy that's in the divine union frequency, even now we see that a lot of this has to do with that sense of recognizing and identifying what feels like it is in energetic alignment. And we see even now that for the energy, I need to stress, the energy right now that is in the, like moving in the divine union frequency, this ability of finding where we find that point of energetic balance, even now, that is something that is allowing for abandonment wounds to come to the surface, but almost allowing that state or space wherein you're able to energetically confront that anxiety point in order to facilitate a deeper sense of healing. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency, this is that moment that sharing that manifestation goal, sharing that path and purpose, even at a moment that feels like it's very vulnerable, that's that moment of feeling like you've energetically found someone. Because for the masculine, that's feeling like that sense of saying, I found a feminine energy that desires and aspires for that same dream that I'm moving towards. And now I want to facilitate a space where I want that energy to feel safe to be themselves. While for masculine and from feminine energy, seeing a masculine that offers that says, I'm building with you. I want you to have that sense of comfort. We are doing this energetically together. That is the feminine energy, feeling that sense of safety and security that can be provided from a masculine that does everything in their power to facilitate that type of energetic balance with the feminine, right? It's not something that the masculine feels like the feminine just gives them by right. It's something that the masculine feels like they continue to energetically earn. And that is the sense of the true harmonious connection. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is that moment, a modality that we're effectively seeing that even now for the feminine coming into that deeper sense of themselves, that deeper sense of energetic authenticity, it allows for that point of energetic breakthrough because that's the moment of, again, not allowing that point of deepening of energetic connection to trigger one. But even if there was a trigger here, we're seeing here that if someone was energetically triggered or reacted in a way that they didn't anticipate, having that be a moment of allowing for healing to come into space. Like that is that moment that when we're able to acknowledge our abandonment wounds and not react to them, it allows us a space to consider new opportunities, new possibilities from a state of energetic observation of the intensity of what we're energetically feeling. Bottom of the deck, as I mentioned, High Priestess in its reversal. So for masculine and feminine energy, again, a lot of this has to do with how to effectively build forth in a way that feels like it is in balance. For the feminine energy, a lot of this, even at the heart of the divine union frequency, we see that questioning of the self, that feminine energy coming into a space of wanting to energetically protect themselves. That ability or that moment for the feminine, that's a lot of that work that we see even now that the masculine is trying to help facilitate on the part of a feminine, right? The feminine energy coming into a state or space of being able to feel energetically comfortable, to be their most authentic sense of self. Feminine energy does a lot of work in questioning themselves on the way of that journey. Masculine, seeing that on the part of a feminine, may feel like a lot of that healing that you're putting forth in the present, because you may be observing and recognizing that a lot of that has to do with feminine, that's healing from past situations or scenarios. And you're just doing a lot of that energetic work to try to help build that sense of energetic safety for a feminine that may be carrying not just like the wounds of the present, but almost like the ancestral wounds of being in the feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is that moment or modality of, again, this is the same exact energy. This is energy that's already in the heart of the divine union right now, which is, again, masculine building that sense of wanting to stress that sense of being able to, like, I'll put it this way, the sense of wanting to be able to energetically protect a feminine sometimes can feel like it's a little energetically overwhelming. But we also see here that that ability to recognize that is almost being amplified in the difference of creating a sensor space of feeling like this is feminine energy that doesn't need that type of energetic protection in a way. Like we see even now, like that moment of masculine going through their own abandonment wound, like that overly protective context, pulling back on it to a certain extent, because that is, again, a lot of that work of the masculine being able to navigate through their own abandonment wound. I told you, it's like when the army comes running in and you got to be like, go back, guys. It's fine. Like, it's fine. You don't need it right now. It's just a feminine. It's not like, go back in the closet. No, put that down. You look ridiculous. Like having that moment energetically with masculine is that moment. Yeah, it's challenging to be around feminine because you feel so overly protective. You're like, and then you have to say like, no, go away. It's fine. For feminine energy, seeing the masculine, being able to do that is a sense of that energetically healing. While for masculine and feminine in separation, this is why we see that a lot of the feminine energy is like, I need to see a masculine that is brave enough to come forward with their intention. Because it's the same energy, the same masculine that can overcome their own anxiety and fears and revealing the truth to the feminine is the same energy that knows that when they feel a moment of energetic flare up, when their anger starts to come up, when the army comes running out of the closet, it's the same masculine that can go, halt, go back in there. No, you're my abandonment wound. You're not supposed to be here. This is ridiculous. We're just having a conversation. No, we're not going to war. Just get back in the, like it has to be like that. You need to find a masculine that's learned how to do that. And so this is the feminine saying it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If the masculine hasn't overcome that energetic fear of being able to reveal their heart's desire, the same masculine hasn't had the ability to like navigate through what to do when they have a big feeling and being able to energetically push through it. So we see even now the feminine energy is doing, I'm doing this because I'm helping the masculine heal. They need to learn how to do this. They need to be able to navigate through it. And that's the feminine feeling like even now, even if there is that moment of moving forward, feminine's going, I'm helping. I'm healing this. Masculine energy, if in separation, this may be a moment that you may be looking at past circumstances or situations where you basically like let the army run out of the closet because, and you're maybe looking and saying that was not, like that's that moment of confronting the abandonment wound and saying, I understand now. I understand why that person put some energetic distance here, or I understand why the feminine is energetically cautious now, right? Like that is the weight of wisdom in being able to see something in a different way and understand it in a different context, but also not letting yourself get caught in that regret space. Letting that be let that serve a purpose in helping you find a way to energetically heal as it relates to going forward. That is our daily collective read for today. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing in these messages. And also a few other things I'd like to bring up before we conclude for today. First and most importantly, I am having a contest. I am offering a free private reading to one lucky participant in my travel survey. I have a travel survey in the link in my bio. It takes exactly 2 minutes. We're looking about doing some destination tarot retreats. I want to find out where you want to go. I've got a few ideas, but I want to know where you would like to go. So all you need to do to be able to enter that contest is head over to the link in my bio, take that survey. It'll take you 120 seconds. I will deeply appreciate your feedback, and you will also be entered into that contest. The other thing I would like to tell you is that due to a lot of requests, I'm now going to offer classes on the tarot. We are starting those classes in next week. On April 17th is the first of those classes. These are classes that are oriented to be helpful to both the seasoned tarot reader as well as the beginner tarot reader. They're going through a one-by-one breakdown of all the cards in the tarot. We are starting that journey with the Fool card. That class is starting on April 17th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you would like to become a part of those classes, all you need to do is subscribe to my Substack. Your subscription will grant you access to those classes, as well as all of the source materials, all of the recordings. Also, you'll be able to have participate in the live chat with me in relationality to anything about your own tarot journey. And if you become a founding member on my Substack, you will also receive a free 1-hour mentorship class with me, wherein we'll discuss where you are on your own spiritual and tarot journey, and I'll help give you some guidance and assistance in terms of what I think would be most helpful for you going forward. I'd like to thank you guys so much again for being here today and receiving these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.